Today I'm going to explain why I am not swarm phobic and why I think swarms are actually an opportunity, and also why I think not every queen is sacred. All right, quick backstory on the maple hive. A little more than 2 weeks ago I was in this hive and I saw queen cells being formed. The cells were at the tops of the frames, not the bottom of the frames. They were at the tops of the frames, and there were larvae in 2 queen cells in this hive. Made a video about it, and at the time my thought was that it was probably a queen replacement, either an emergency situation or a supersedure happening. Because I don't see a queen, I'm not seeing a lot of eggs, and there's 2 what look like possibly emergency queen cells. Yeah, no other queen cells in here. There's 2 way at the top, and I don't see eggs. I think something happened to the queen, so I'm gonna let them just make a queen. I really don't think this is a swarm. I decided to leave the cells alone and just kind of let it play out and see what happens. Came back a week later, and the cells that I saw that had larvae in them, I figured if they were a supersedure, they would be capped and they would be on their way to making a new queen. But those cells were not yet capped, so I didn't know what was going on, because the timing was that they should have been capped, but they weren't capped. But there were also lots of other cells on other frames that were open and uncapped, but they had larvae. So there were lots of queen cells in here, and again, no queen cells at the bottoms of the frames. So I still wasn't thinking this was a swarm situation. Ooh. One of them is open. Or is it just not capped yet? That wouldn't make sense. It's just not capped yet. The timing does not work out. I wonder what's going on. That cell was there 8 days ago, and I saw larvae in it, and I see larvae in it still. They haven't capped it. That should have been an emerged cell by now, just about. Because it was larva pre-capped 8 days ago, so it would have been basically an emerging queen right about now. There's another one over here. Huh. Okay, this is now making me think swarm prep. More cells. Seems kind of weird though. It seems too calm. Something's not quite adding up to me. There's a capped queen cell right there. Yeah, with all these cells this capped, I would think they would have already swarmed. It does not feel like this is a hive that has already swarmed. So not only did I see a bunch of open queen cells in the hive, I also found the queen. There was a queen in there. And I couldn't really tell if it was a virgin queen, like if they had already swarmed and that was a queen that had emerged, or if it was the original queen. I didn't know because she wasn't marked. So I decided to mark her, put a mark on her back, just so I could keep track of her, you know, see what would happen, and then decided to, again, just leave them alone, because I didn't really care if they swarmed. I didn't want them to swarm, but the signs were not that they were going to swarm, because none of the cells were at the bottoms of the frames. Now, I know that they can swarm if they have cells anywhere on the frames, but generally you do see them at the bottoms of the frames. That was not the case in this hive. Oh, there's the queen. See the queen? She's still there. So what is going on? Are you going to swarm, or are you being replaced? I came back last night just to check on them to see what was going on with that queen. They had swarmed. So sometime between Thursday and Sunday, they swarmed. So obviously there's fewer bees in the hive now, and there are tons of capped queen cells on multiple frames. There's 3 frames in here that have capped queen cells on them. But this is a very powerful hive, very strong hive. This is one of my better hives from last year. This hive had more varroa in it than any other hive, and I treated them with Apivar and oxalic last year. They survived the winter completely fine, and they came out very strong. Strong enough that they already swarmed, and we're still not even in June yet. So this is a big hive, and it's worth thinking about doing something with all those queen cells in there. People spend a lot of time worrying about swarms, and I don't really worry about swarms. I don't want my bees to swarm. I try and prevent swarming by giving the queen adequate space to lay, making sure they have lots of super space to store honey and not feel crowded in the hive. But if I have a colony that gets that strong and that big that they feel they need more space and they want to take half the colony and fly away and find a new home, I don't really care that much. It is not the end of the world to me. Yes, you're going to lose your queen, they're going to take away some resources, and the workforce is going to go away. But what's left behind is a young, strong colony. The bees aren't going to fly away, take the queen, and leave behind a hive that's going to die. They want to leave behind a hive that's going to be strong, that's going to grow into a nice, healthy colony again. And we have a hive filled with drawn comb and a solid workforce with young bees. And before they flew away, the colony was at full strength for a period of time there, and they went through the whole hive, and they picked and chose the very best eggs in the hive and the very best cells. And when the cells hatch and the larvae come out, the whole hive was working together to build those larvae up, to feed the larvae, because they wanted this hive to have the best chance possible to grow into another strong hive. So I don't see this as a weakened colony or damaged goods at all. I see this as potential. I see this hive is going to build up and be a huge hive, a monster hive, by the end of the summer. And this is the perfect time of year to swarm because they have the entire season to now build up, and this fall they're going to be monsters again. And also, there's 3 frames in here with capped queen cells on them. And I could just leave them alone and do nothing. Those queens will all emerge, but that seems like a waste because they're not all going to survive. They're going to all wind up getting killed or killing each other. What I can do is use those frames in the bee yard. So the maple hive has 3 frames of capped queen cells. And obviously one of those frames has to stay in the hive so that a queen will emerge from that frame and become the new queen of the maple hive. So I'm going to leave the best frame in the maple hive, but that leaves 2 other frames with capped queen cells. And what usually you would do is go in and knock them all off, and so there's not 20 queens running around in there killing each other. But the other thing you can do is take those frames out and make nukes with the frames. So you could potentially split those 3 frames into three hives. But I don't really want to do that because I already have 5 really strong nukes, and I don't want any more nukes in the bee yard. I want strong bee barns, strong colonies. I have 6 bee barns in the bee yard, and 5 are doing great. They're gigantic. And this one here is my slow colony. Now, in any other year of beekeeping, the colony in this box is just as big as any other large colony I've ever had, but compared to the bee barns and what I know is possible in this bee yard with these kind of boxes, this queen has always been just a little bit behind. And I've been thinking about replacing her this year anyway. And now I have the perfect opportunity because I got a frame over there with capped queen cells ready to go. And what I can do is take the capped queen cells from that box and put one of them in this box and let the queen emerge in here. But the first thing I have to do is get rid of the birch queen. So what I'm going to do now is go in here, find the birch queen, take her out, and then I'm going to take her out. So this colony was installed as a package 1 year ago, early May of 2021. And I put them in here with a queen, and within a week they'd killed the queen and made a new queen from her eggs. They didn't like the queen that came with the package. They did make a new queen, and she survived all last summer, laying the frames. She was a little bit slow, but they built up okay. Made it through the winter. But this year, they've just been a little behind. They're just slow. So it's time for a new queen in this colony. All right, there she is right there. That's the queen that they replaced the original queen with, and she's been in there for 1 year. This is a year-old queen. And as you can see, she's just not a huge layer. The hive is doing fine, but it's not awesome. It's not, amazing. She's not a rock star queen. If you've been watching my videos for the past year, when I made the bee barns and put the new colonies in, I didn't name the queens. I named the colonies because I think the colony is what's important. I've stopped thinking of queens as sacred and needing to save the queens no matter what. Like when you name your queen, you become attached to the queen, and you want to save the queens. You want to do what you can to, you know, keep the queens alive, and I don't think that's the right approach. My idea now is to keep the colony strong, and with a weak queen, you have a weak colony. So I want to replace her with a potentially stronger queen, which the maple hive is a strong colony, and I want to put those queen cells into this hive and give them a better chance so they could be stronger this year. So today is her last day. She's had a year and she's being replaced. I'm not really good at picking up queens, but because she's about to die, I'm going to try just picking her up. Got her. All right. All right, this is it. Sorry, queen. Okay. This hive is queenless. So let's put them back together, and then I will come back in a couple hours with a brand new frame of queen cells for them. And they're very interested in my hive tool for some reason. All right, bees, chill out. I'll be back. All right, it is several hours later. Birch hive is queenless. Now I'm going to go into the maple hive and determine which frame I'm going to leave in the maple hive with queen cells on it, and which frame I'm going to steal and bring over to the birch hive. This is the frame that had, I think, the best queen cells. This third one here. So there's two up there. One is not yet capped. That's the weird one that has never been capped. But there is one capped there, and there's 3 on this side and 1 uncapped over here. So there's 3 queen cells on here. I think I'm going to leave this frame in the hive. 2 big queen cells on this frame. A lot of brood and resources. Okay, I'm going to take this frame out and put it into the birch hive. So let me get these bees off of here. Don't want to damage queen cells. There's 2 queen cells up there. Okay, 2 queen cells on this frame. Going into the birch hive. We'll just see what else is in here. If there's other cells. Oh, there are more cells. They got one at the bottom. That's a beautiful queen cell down there. Okay, there's two really nice cells on here. 3 actually. And another one. So there's 4 frames with cells. They don't need all these. All right, I'm gonna take some of these off. So there's some nice queen cells on this frame. I'm going to drop an empty frame in there. Now I got to decide if I want to take these cells off. Yeah, these look kind of weird. I'm going to take these off. These are little. I'm leaving them with 3 good queen cells. There's 3 good ones in there on 2 frames. So one of those should work. Okay, and now birch hive. Let's open them up. And they are going to get a frame with 2 new queen cells right on the frame. They've been queenless for several hours, probably very confused. They're probably already trying to pick an egg to make a new queen. But they're going to be very surprised when they get 2 nice new queen cells ready to go. But I got to take a frame out of here that they don't need anymore. I think they can probably miss this one. A little bit of brood on it, mostly drones though. I'm going to take this frame out and replace it with the queen cell frame. So, off bees. Surprise, surprise bees, you're about to get what you've been dreaming of all day long. Okay, check this out. Hey bees. There's a few bees from the maple hive, but these are new maple queen cells. There's 2 cells right there. So they're going in. And welcome, new maple queen, hopefully emerging in a couple days. And then hopefully we got a maple hive in here. Basically a maple queen birch hive. So bee barns are a little different than regular hives. Usually, traditionally, you see swarm cells on the bottoms of the frames. With the bee barns, not so much. The swarm cells were all over the frames. And I missed it, and I thought possibly it was a supersedure, but I was wrong. So anyway, the hive swarmed, lemons, lemonade. What I did is just take one of those swarm cell frames and I put it into my weaker birch hive, the weakest bee barn that I have, and hopefully, you know, queen emerges and she goes out and mates and we get a queen in that hive from the maple genetics, which is actually a VSH colony over here. And then hopefully these queen cells emerge. There's 3 really good queen cells in there. Hopefully they emerge and one comes out and mates and comes back and we have a nice strong maple hive. Obviously both could fail. They could both fail and I could be taking queens from my resource hives, which is what the resource nukes are for. I have 5 nice queens in there, and if those fail, I can just take queens out and put them into the hives. So I got backups. This is what the bee yard's about. I got 6 bee barns and 5 nukes, and the nukes are the backups. So that's where we are. That's the story. Thanks for watching.